Alright, so today what we're going to do is the Briggs-Rauscher reaction, which is also known as the oscillating clock reaction. So, Liao will now start the reaction and I'll explain it as he does that. So there's a lot of components to this reaction, and it's not fully understood as to how it works currently because there's so many things that are dependent on another, and it's really hard to follow how it works. So we're going to be showing you a few ways of how we can explain it with varying amounts of information. Alright, so this is just a graph showing all the different interdependent reactions involved, and as you can see there's a lot of things that all rely on each other, and so it's really difficult to pinpoint what's dependent on another just because of how much stuff there is going on at the same time. Alright, so there's a lot of ways to explain it, this being probably the least understandable, as there's a lot of stuff going on, there's a lot of reactions going on, and so there's other ways to explain it. Alright, so in a second you should see a reaction, and this is because of iodine and iodide ions as they change, and so once Liao is poured it in, you should notice something happening right away, and this is because of the ions changing, and so now my partners will sort of explain what's happening as it goes along. So first off, I believe Ariana is going to do. Jenna is going to explain what's happening. So as you can see, it just changed, and so here's Jenna.
Okay. So the blue color occurs when iodine reacts to increase the iodide ions in the presence of starch to form pentaiodide. This reaction consumes iodide faster than it's produced, causing the concentration of pentaiodide ions to decrease and the concentration of iodide ions to increase, causing the color blue.
So eventually the increase in iodide ions leads to a colorless solution. Then the iodide ions once again react with hypoiodous acid to form iodine, and the cycle begins again. So once the original reactants are depleted, the oscillations will stop and reach a steady state where pentaiodide ions dominate, creating the blue color. And just to say that we don't know exactly why this reaction is occurring. It's still unknown to scientists.
So the yellow color is produced when iodide ions are interacting with the hypoiodous acid here, and it forms the iodine. But as you can see, it is quickly engulfed by the reaction, which results in the color blue. So although it's clear that the components of this reaction are many, and the reaction is still quite unknown to us, it still is a brilliant example of a reaction that occurs in two ways. It doesn't just go once and stop, but it's an oscillating reaction, meaning it occurs again and again and again, and it's pretty fun to watch too.
Alright, thanks. So now we're just going to show you a more in-depth explanation. It may be a bit difficult to follow, and we won't exactly explain it just because it would take a long time, and it's very difficult to understand if you're not familiar with this sort of thing. So we'll leave it up for you to look at for a little while. Yeah, go ahead. Alright, so I guess the yellow color is generated when iodide ions react with the hypoiodous acid to form iodine. The blue color occurs when iodine reacts to an increase in iodine ions in the presence of starch. From pentaiodide ions, this reaction consumes iodine faster than it is produced, causing the concentration of pentaiodide ions to decrease and increase the concentration of iodide ions again. The increase in iodide ions leads to a colorless solution, and at this stage the iodide ions once again react with the hypoiodous acid to form iodine, and the cycle begins again. And the catalyst that drives these is a series of reactions. These series of reactions are malonic acid and iodate ions. Once these are depleted, the oscillations decrease and finally reach a steady state where pentaiodide ions dominate, creating a blue color. So this is basically a bit more in-depth as to what's happening. And here are just the references in case you're interested. And so that's our presentation and our chemistry demo. I hope you enjoyed it.